So think about the jacket hanging in your closet right now. How many seasons is it really going to last before it wears out or, just goes completely out of style? Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking the absolutely fascinating survival story of a truly iconic American workwear brand, Filson. This isn't just your standard story about clothes. It's a deep dive into this uncompromising philosophy of durability that has weathered literal and figurative storms for over a century. Okay, let's dive straight into the core paradox that makes Filson's history so incredibly unique in the modern retail landscape. I mean, how does a clothing brand survive 127 years by explicitly ignoring fashion? In an industry that is entirely driven by the next big thing, seasonal trends, and aesthetic shifts, Filson has somehow totally thrived by looking in the exact opposite direction. We're going to explore this stubborn philosophy across 5 quick chapters. We've got the fashion paradox, born in the gold rush, function over fashion, the art of unfailing goods, and finally, advancing with time. Starting off with Chapter 1, the fashion paradox, a stubborn outlier in a world of fast fashion. Our sources describe Filson as operating like a stubborn, middle-aged man, and I absolutely love that description. It hits the nail right on the head. While hit TV shows like Yellowstone recently brought massive pop culture attention to that whole Western aesthetic, basically catapulting outdoor and workwear brands into the mainstream spotlight, Filson essentially just shrugged. They stubbornly refused to launch trendy joint models or alter their core identity just to cash in on the hype. Sure, they provided gear for the show because it's authentic to the environment, but they absolutely refused to dilute their brand to chase a fleeting trend. It's super fascinating to contrast Filson's authentic blue-collar survival roots against brands that are purely chasing a Western aesthetic. Take Ralph Lauren's RRL line, for example. It is gorgeous, no doubt, but it was born from a pastoral dream, a high-end venture just to capture the romance of the West. But look at Filson. Filson wasn't born from romance. It was born from literal life-or-death necessity. For well over a century, their target demographic hasn't been fashion enthusiasts. It's been prospectors, lumberjacks, hunters, and sailors. People who literally need this gear to physically survive freezing cold temperatures and torrential rain. Which brings us to Chapter 2, Born in the Gold Rush, outfitting prospectors for the unforgiving Yukon. You see, Filson's historical pedigree is built entirely on equipping people for the absolute harshest natural environments. Born in 1850, Clinton C. Filson saw the Klondike Gold Rush in full swing by 1897. We're talking tens of thousands of stampeding prospectors descending on Seattle to gear up before heading out into the unforgiving, freezing wilderness of the Yukon. So, Filson opened his store on First Avenue to supply them. It was a totally chaotic market, but Filson stood apart because his gear actually kept people alive. By 1914, he patented the legendary cruising shirt, and by the 1950s, the quality was so trusted that the Mackinaw wheel cruiser actually became the standard uniform for the U.S. Forest Service. The absolutely crucial point here is that this quality-first mindset, established over a century ago, still acts as the uncompromising anchor for the brand today. Back in 1897, Clinton Filson stated, "Your satisfaction is the sole purpose of our transaction." And guys, that wasn't just some clever marketing slogan. When your customers are literally relying on your gear to not freeze to death in Alaska, satisfaction means survival. Think about what that actually means for a moment, especially in the context of the stuff we buy today. Moving right along to Chapter 3, Function over Fashion, engineered for utility and longevity. 9. Believe it or not, this specific number is the ultimate key to understanding Filson's sheer dedication to function over form. Any guesses what this refers to? Take a second. It's the number of pockets on the iconic original cruiser jacket. Originally engineered way back in 1914 for timber cruisers scouting deep woods logging operations, every single one of these 9 pockets had a strict, highly pragmatic purpose. You've got 4 front flip pockets, a specifically slotted left pocket just for holding a compass or notepads, 2 hand warmers, an inner pocket, and, this is my absolute favorite part, a dual-entry, double-layered, full-width rear pocket that spans the entire back, specifically designed just for carrying large survey maps. There is almost zero fashion design sense here. It is just pure, bold, heroic pragmatism that really makes you marvel at the absolute ingenuity of it all. And to match that design, Filson engineered specific fabric solutions to ensure survival against the brutal Pacific Northwest elements. You have Mackinaw wool for extreme anti-cold insulation, you have tin cloth, heavily waxed to provide near impenetrable waterproofing, and then there's rugged twill, an industrial-strength, highly wear-resistant material developed in 1991 for their famous heritage bags. They didn't choose these materials because they looked cool on a runway. They chose them because they functioned perfectly in a terrible environment, keeping their wearers dry, warm, and most importantly, alive. Let's look at Chapter 4, The Art of Unfailing Goods, Keeping Gear in the Woods and Out of Landfills. Filson literally guarantees these items for the lifetime of the product. They call them unfailing goods, which they say are engineered to outsmart the elements, outperform expectations, and outlast you. They fully expect their gear to be passed down to the next generation. Consider how incredibly rare that is for our own buying habits today. But of course, if you're actually working in the woods, gear gets snagged on barbed wire or torn on branches. And that is exactly where the repair department comes in. Filson offers dedicated repair services with techniques that are designed for pure strength, not invisibility. They use darning, where holes are heavily reinforced with a visible zigzag stitch that's honestly often stronger than the original fabric itself. They use binding to seal frayed cuffs, and for really extreme damage, they'll just perform total panel replacements. I absolutely love this because they aren't trying to magically make the garment look brand new again. These visceral repair methods add highly visible character marks earned through hard use. Every heavy stitch tells a story of survival, basically turning a standard jacket into a deeply personal family heirloom. Finally, Chapter 5, Advancing with Time, Modernizing without losing the rugged soul. Now, hearing all of this, you might be wondering, does a brand this ridiculously stubborn ever actually change or modernize? Well, let's look at their global strategy, because that stubbornness absolutely extends there too. Historically, when American heritage or outdoor brands entered markets like Japan, they would drastically alter their fits, soften their fabrics, and change their silhouettes to cater to local fashion trends and aesthetics. But Filson? Zero changes. A Filson jacket sold in Tokyo is the exact same stiff, rugged, functional jacket sold in Seattle. They proudly maintain their pure, unchanging American wild sense everywhere they go. No compromises. However, that doesn't mean they're entirely frozen in 1897. They are carefully advancing into the modern era, but strictly on their own terms. They introduced the Swiftwater rain jacket, stepping away from heavy waxed canvas to use modern, lightweight 3-ounce tear-resistant nylon with waterproof films. They've introduced the Ranger Down series for lighter comfort. And incredibly, in 2024, after 127 years, they launched their very first complete women's collection. Because as our sources note, there is no gender limit when it comes to instinctive survival. They tailored the contours for a better fit, sure, but they fiercely protected the exact same core durability and premium craftsmanship. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, leaving us with a final, pretty provocative thought. In a world of completely disposable fast fashion, are you wearing clothes built to outlast you? Filson really shows us that true sustainability, and honestly true style, might just rely on the stubborn durability of the past. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this deep dive into Filson's rich history has given you a whole new appreciation for what it actually means to build something to last.